Hey everybody, this is Jeff Kennedy, no longer the VP of Sales and Partnerships for Leading RE. I am now a principal at Maverix Advisory Group, here with my first client and one of my close friends, Sean Soderstrom from Corded. Sean, how are you?
Hey Jeff, great to see you. Obviously, I'm
I'm
sure a lot of the leading RE companies are sad to see you go, but I'm selfishly very excited because I get to spend more time with you.
well, if you remember when we first met and I saw a demo of what Corded can do, I was like, I love my job and I'm going to stay here, but if I were to leave, I would come work for you. And you're like, that'd be great. And then, a year later, here we are, finally working together.
Love it.
I appreciate the offer to be a strategic advisor. I love your team, love the product. So, anyways, thank you so much for that. Um, what I'm seeing right now in the broker space is recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. Like that's the lifeblood of any brokerage. And the challenge is if you break down the recruiting process into three buckets, you have, well, I have no idea who to recruit, or I go get this huge list of all this data points. And then once I get that list, what do I do with it? When should I reach out? And if I can figure out that, what should the message be? And that takes an awful lot of time to do all of that. And usually the people that are in charge of recruiting are your sales managers who are also managing their salespeople and doing the accounting and doing the janitorial stuff. Like everyone's got 16 hats on, and for some reason, recruiting sometimes gets a little bit less attention than it needs to be really successful. So
Mhm.
talk a little bit about kind of what you created and how that's a solution to those three buckets. And then we'll finish it maybe with a retention conversation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think those problems very much align with my own experience leading expansion and growth at a large brokerage. We'd find in terms of who to go after in the first place, the identification piece. We see huge volatility in agents' businesses year over year. I, as a recruiter, typically didn't have the time to figure out who was actually looking to make a move from a brokerage. And so scattershot reaching out to everybody who's done X amount in production was challenging and resulted in pretty low conversion rates. And so I wasn't really paying attention to the right time to reach out, as you say. And then finally, we generally find that this generic outreach is really easy to get out, right? So everyone gets the same email campaign because we downloaded a list from somewhere, but we all receive those emails, right? And I never engage with them. And agents get many of those per day from different companies touting what they're so great at. And, I think so for us, we've kind of flipped a bunch of those things around. So on the identification piece, we use predictive analytics and machine learning to identify agent future behavior. So we can accurately predict agents' future sales volume, and we successfully classify 4 out of 5 agents before they leave their company. So this is all about going from a database of thousands of agents down to a few that you should consider recruiting. We also take into account some kind of real-time dynamic updates in their business. So, for example, an agent who typically has 3 active listings, and for the first time in 52 weeks, they don't, right? And so they're less busy, more open to taking a recruiting call, or haven't done a deal in the last 90 days. So there are a number of different ways that our customers are essentially getting alerted that now I should reach out. And then it's the piece of the outreach. And so we use large language models, but they don't point at the internet. They point at our structured and proprietary database that knows everything interesting about that agent. So ideally, the recruiter in a few seconds is saying something or emailing or texting something that the agent doesn't even know about their own business recently. And so kind of show that you've done your homework. And then furthermore, if they don't reach out, you may forget that you reached out to them and they didn't respond to your voicemail. And so as a recruiter, you not only want to track that work, but you also want a reason to reach back out without seeming annoying. And so in that case, we also generate alerts and then messages about, hey, I noticed that you have a new pending. So before they get a wave of recruiting emails celebrating that $5 million deal, when they get the listing or have something pending or the status changes, you can actually generate an event-driven communication. And in that case, we can really kind of get an in back with that agent who is an interesting recruit and not kind of struggling to figure out what to say.
I love that. I mean, I think one of the main problems is everyone has too much to do and not enough time. And so the strive is for efficiency, for conversion rate, like you said. And sometimes in that speed to be efficient, you lose the humanity of it because you're just sending out spam emails because it's easier, and it is. But the recipient on the other end knows, like you and I, we get emails from salespeople every day, and you can read in the first sentence, the first three words, I already know. I hope all is well. I hope you are well. Like, nope, I don't know you. So the ability to personalize that message is really important. And I think it's important to note that none of these messages get sent automatically without you taking a look at it. You get to approve it. So if you know for one reason or another this isn't right, you want to tweak this, you have the ability to stop that from going out or change it, right? It's not sent out automated.
Correct.
Accurate.
Yeah.
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 Okay. I just want to make sure. That's good. So you got the message is great. The timing is really interesting too, because you're playing double Dutch jump rope, right? They're really, really busy. They're really, really busy. If you reach out to them to recruit them when they have 15 closings going on, you're not getting a call back. Like they're totally focused. If you find that lull, two things happen. One is they might be more open to your outreach. It might be, and then the second one is they might be a little bit worried about what the future is holds because the market's down and all of a sudden they've kind of slowed up a bit. They could be looking other places. You come in with a well-crafted email that says, listen, congratulations for closing 123 Anywhere Street. And you go right into your value prop of your company. We can help you with a higher closing percentage at less days on market or whatever. I think that could be really compelling. Now, question, are you going after top agents, like the top 3%? Are you going after the middle agents? Like, is it up to the client to choose what their buy box is?
It's totally up to the client. We have a number of statistical analyses that can help direct you to the groups that are moving more. And I think one of the interesting things is recruiting across the board, as you said at the beginning, is elevated, which also means there's a retention risk kind of across the board. Twice the number of top producers moved between companies in the last 12 months versus any time over the past 3 years. But then the biggest opportunity is focused in the $1 to $5 million agent group, where close to 20% of those agents are moving on an annual basis from one company to another, followed by the $5 to $25 million group. And those groups tend to be very profitable for traditional split brokerages. And even if you're a fee-based model, that's where most of the movement's happening. And so it's really up to the customer. And I think one of the things for us, right, that we pay a lot of attention to is the proof is in the pudding. We are looking at the data from customers that we've signed up for a year now, and they have 15 to 20 times ROI on their investment with Corded, usually paying for the annual contract with Corded in the first 3 weeks. And the conversion rates have gone from 0.5% to 5%. So when you have that like a huge improvement in conversion rate, it doesn't actually mean more time invested from your team. It's just getting your team to work in a more targeted, more efficient manner. And the interesting thing is that, yeah, sure, we're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, but exactly as you say, this whole process humanizes what we're doing. So it actually allows us to spend more time in meetings with agents who are legitimately interested. And it's less about sending everyone the same campaign that doesn't actually resonate with them. And so we're actually helping our customers to make more with the time and resources that they have versus asking for each company to hire 12 recruiters, which none of us have the budget to do at this stage, right?
Well, and I want to say one last thing. As much as I want to say it is definitely a secret weapon, but it's not a magic tool. You have to use it. Just because you pay for it, if your managers aren't using it, it's not going to work. We have evidence. We have factual evidence that if you use the system, you will get the results. But that's just a plain. There's not anybody that hasn't come through that I've talked to at least that's been unhappy with the results. And there's some really big, well-known brokerages that are using it very successfully. So this has been great. I'm going to be at Inman with the corded hat on. Not literally, maybe, I don't know, metaphorically, but I have a corded hat on. So if you're going to be there and want to talk about recruiting or what Corded can do for your company, get a hold of me or send me a DM on LinkedIn. And if you aren't going to be at Inman, but are still interested in learning more about whether Corded can help your recruiting outreach, they can get a hold of you or your team, or is there a landing page? Where do you want them to go?
Yeah, so for anyone that sees this, reach out to www.corded.io. There's a place where you can book a time with us. If you refer to this webinar, we will give you a recruiting consultation. So no strings attached. We'll give you a list of the agents who are most, that fit your criteria, that are most interested in making a move to a new brokerage right now. And we can also walk you through some of the local recruiting dynamics. So which companies are gaining share, losing share that you need to start paying attention to in your local market. So that's just a free thing that we can offer for anyone who goes in and refers to the webinar.
Awesome. Sean, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
You too. Bye.
Bye.